Hi everybody, and welcome back to the studio. It's a sunny, hot day, so we're going to be inside the garage and painting. And what I have here is I have a canvas that's already been prepared with the liquid white. And what I did is I just added a little bit of the lamp black, and I made sort of a liquid gray, and I started at the top and I just started working it down. And I thought today what we would do is sort of a look-off scene. Maybe like a park that's high up and you can look down. So let's just get started with lightening up the middle here. I want there to still be a source of light. So I'm just going to go into the titanium white. And I'm just going to start doing a little circle and working out. And that's going to just lighten up that area of the painting just a little bit. Beat off the brush and just do a couple applications until it starts to look lighter. This sun is going to be poking through some leafy trees at the end of our painting, I think. So I want it to be quite bright. And then with a clean brush, just blend it. Make sure you don't go back into the center. With this wet on wet painting, as you paint, your brush picks up color. And sometimes you don't want to bring those darker colors back in. Now the same brush, I'm going to use just a little bit, let's say a little bit phthalo blue, a little bit Prussian blue, a little bit of black. So just blacks, blues, and some white. Something like that. And we're just going to start working in some clouds. Don't think too much. That's the biggest problem with painting clouds, is people often think way too much about what they're doing. Save your thinking for the important things in life. This is just painting. It's not a big deal. Yeah. Maybe smaller one. Sort of blend out the bottoms. Just give them some kind of swirly action. Just doing like little circles, putting little things in there that you can see. With clouds, usually the bottom of the cloud sort of fades, and the top of the clouds tend to just be a little bit easier to see. So usually with clouds you want to blend the bottom. Let the paint work for you. I like oil paints. They just really sort of do everything for you. think that's more than enough. Alright, clean off the knife and let's start doing some distant mountains. Now, we're going to be sort of looking down on these, so that's important to keep in mind. I'm just going to take all the colors, the phthalo blue, Prussian blue, black, not all the black, I'm going to save some for later, some Van Dyke brown, just dark colors, sort of a dark blue, maybe a little sap green in there. And normally we want our mountains to be pretty high up, but in this case, we're going to be looking down on them. So they're going to be possibly a little bit lower. You can lighten that up too if you want. Maybe add just a little white to our paint. And we can add more than one layer of mountains. That's always fun. Most important part is this top edge. The bottom part's not important. Similar to the clouds, the top is really just the more distinct part. Brush. I'm just going to pull this down. Doesn't matter if it's a clean brush or a dirty brush for this part because this is really dark paint. And your dark paint's not going to be bothered too much by other colors on it, the same way a light paint would. Light paint, you have to be more careful. Be an old grassy boy. Something like that. And since this is kind of a grassy mountain, we're going to highlight it just a little bit differently than usual. Usually we might use a knife and some white and make some snow on it, but this is going to be a little bit closer to us. It's going to be lower, so it's going to be able to have trees on it. The higher a mountain is, the less trees can grow. But since we're obviously higher than this one, trees can grow on it. So I'm just going to take basically pure sap green. I'm just going to sort of, just like that, on the dark side of the mountain with just the sap green. And I'm just pressing it in. You can do that. That's super easy. Okay. And super tiny amount. You really don't want any amount at all. Just this tiny, tiny little bit of yellow. Look at that. Just such a small amount. Because we're really, really far away. We don't want our highlights to get too light. Just enough to tell there's a difference in color. That's all you want, just enough to tell that there's just slightly different colors going on here. Wherever the sun's going to be hitting. You can even buzz up the top too if you want. Okay. Back to our knife, back to the dark color. Let's add another one. You can always change the model too. Make sure this base layer here is darker. Make sure your mountains aren't super sharp or triangular. That's always the hard part. Scrape off any excess that you have. And pull it down. Just like that, we have a whole other layer in our painting. New place for us to plant our trees. Lay out your mountain using your brush strokes. You can see these. You can definitely see them in person. I don't know how well they show up always on camera, but you can lay out your entire mountain just with your brush strokes before you commit yourself to any highlighting. So, as before with this one, just go into some sap green. And just be consistent, right? If these sides of the mountains are dark, be consistent with that. This side of this mountain is dark. Use some holes, don't highlight absolutely everything. Just be consistent, don't highlight absolutely everything that you have. Leave a few holes in there. And this time when we're going to do the light highlights, we can add a little bit more yellow this time because we are closer, but we still don't want to add too much, but if we get a few light spots, they might look nice. Maybe I'll leave that little area in there, it's a little dark area. clean brush, we're just going to start tapping out the bottom. We're more so doing it this time not to create a layer of mist. We usually do it that way. That layer of mist, when we do it that way, helps us with our it helps us with showing distance with our faraway mountains. But we're looking down on these, and we really need to communicate that. So this time, the tapping is actually to take off some paint so that our next layer sticks really well. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to start adding in some of the bushes that are going to be really close to us. So we need to use some really dark color, so mostly just the phthalo blue, the Prussian blue, black, Van Dyke brown, and some of the saccharine. We're just looking for a really dark color. And now's the point where we really have to start communicating that we are much higher up in these mountains. So we're going to start doing that with these bushes here. We're going to start here. And we're going to start moving up. Just a little clump of trees. A lot of painting and art is about communication. And we want to go right up into where the solid part of the mountain is. If we were to go low into this misty area, it would really kind of look like we're not really all that far away from that. Next, we're going to take some cadmium yellow, mostly cadmium yellow, tiny touch of green. These mountains here are quite dark, and so we really need our highlights to be quite bright. That's not a particularly good brush. Not a particularly good brush. I used it earlier today. Let's try this one. It's a bit of a light load on the brush, but it's okay. It'll serve the purpose. But mostly sticking pretty close to yellow to highlight here. We can go into a little bit of titanium white to really lighten things up. As we get further away, it'll be okay. It'll be okay to use more green. With the liner brush, let's just add in a few background twigs. So that's just a little bit of paint thinner, and some dark paint, black paint. Too much thinner on that one, so I'm just gonna soften it up. Let's just start adding in some grass. So just some sap greens, some yellows. Tap in some grass. And without a base coat, it's going to start getting lighter and lighter as we get closer and closer. So that's sort of what we're going for. Over here, let's do something similar. We'll go into our dark colors again. And we'll do, maybe just a shorter clump of bushes over here. And just make sure that we highlight with a very, very light, bright yellow. It's an easy way to get the grass. Bend up to get grass. Putting those two kind of together, that's nice. Alright, let's add a few more of those background trees, little twigs and stuff. I really find that these almost help the most, I think, when it comes to making areas look forested. They never really seem to look, they just look like blobs sometimes, right until you add that stuff. Right, what are we going to do next? Let's add one of our leafy trees that we were talking about, the leafy guy. And let's see, it's going to be, get the paint stick. This leafy guy is going to be sort of here. I'm just using dark colors, hoping they stick. No, it kind of looks like a mess right now, doesn't it? Take the fan brush, just go into some Van Dyke brown, a little white. Lighten it up a bit. And let's just add the trunk of this tree. Don't be too picky about things. Add some limbs on it. Trees have to have limbs usually. I suppose not all trees. This one does. Let's highlight this one. Let's use maybe a little bit of the Indian yellow, or sorry, yellow ochre. Let's add yellow ochre this time to our green. There's so many different greens here. So yellow ochre, green, and just highlight. Thinking about all the places where the sun would be hitting the tree. Help things out with texture if you can. Clean up the feet of the tree just a little bit. There's one tree, let's do another one. This will be your tree practice day. Something similar. The corner's really dark. Yeah, let's just get in here and do it hard. No sense mucking around too much on a hot day. Back into that brown we had. And let's highlight this guy. Think about all the great places the light would want to be. And clean up the bottom. Alright. We're going to need another tree. Really dark this time. Maybe just only phthalo blue. This one is going to be right here. A little other colors in there. Go over all my mountains too much. Well, I think by now you guys know what's going to happen. We're going to add another tree trunk in there. Darker though. Push harder the more you get to the bottom, that way it starts to get wider. Limbs on him with the liner brush. Let's get into our highlight colors. This time I might add a little bit of that liquid gray just to keep my colors bright. Just to keep my colors bright and sticking well. And that just gives us a whole other plane. The best way to finish this painting is just to start tossing in some grass. I'm just bending the brush, bending it up. With some grass. And all I'm doing is just sort of pushing up with my brush. Now over here, just go a little bit darker on our paint. We'll basically just do something similar. And I think just to tie it all together, one more thing, and that's always a big tree. Really dark, phthalo blue, black. Now we have a lot of really pretty stuff back here, so I'll show you my secret. Push harder, 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 harder. You get down to the bottom. And this is my secret. Dead trees are really, really good for these kinds of paintings. Dead trees aren't very big. They don't take up a lot of room. And by adding just one more layer to this painting, it really gives it a lot of extra distance that it didn't have. And it doesn't cover up all the mountains that we made. And that's true of nature too. There's lots of dead trees out there. They're not all growing. Some of them live long lives. But they can be really pretty. And they really do make my job easier. And then just close in this whole corner with some dark bushes. Dark. We're not even going to bother highlighting this one. And then just some final things that we can do. We can always take our knife, because we had white canvas, and just scratch in other trees. Thank you very much for watching this week. I think next time we'll be back in a new studio, so please wait for the next video. Bye. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, please hit the subscribe button and the bell icon. It really helps the studio grow and helps me make these videos for you guys. Thank you so much for your support. Bye.